You're 5 levels deep. Torches are flickering. The rations are molding. The magic you drew down to a single sleep spell. You turn a corner, expecting to see the stairs leading back up to the safety of the surface. Instead, you find a blank wall. You check your map, and the map says there should be a hallway here. The mapper is swearing. The caller is panicked, and the ref is just sitting there with a grin on his face. You know what went wrong? You didn't have a dwarf, or worse, you had a dwarf. But you were treating him like a short fighter with a bad attitude. You were using him as a meat shield when you should have been using him as a compass. Today at the tavern, we're going to fix how you look at the dwarf class. We're moving past the tank trope and getting into the practical reality of subterranean navigation. We're talking about why the dwarf is the most mechanically unique specialist in the BX toolkit. Now, we got to be honest. For 30 years, the modern version of the game has told you a dwarf is just a fighter who is harder to knock over and likes beer. In the 5e era, or even going back to the late 3e days, the dwarf's identity is almost entirely tied to combat stats, right? High constitution, some weapon proficiencies, and maybe a bit of poison resistance. But in BX, in the Mosaic Cook era, the dwarf was something else entirely. If you look at the hit dice, yeah, they're the same as the fighter. If you look at the saving throws, they're actually a bit better than the fighters. But that's not why you bring a dwarf. You bring a dwarf because the dungeon is a living, breathing puzzle. And the dwarf is the only one who could read the instructions. In the OSR, we talk a lot about player skill versus character skill. But the dwarf occupies a weird, beautiful middle ground. The dwarf provides the information that allows a player to use their skill. Without that information, you're just guessing. And in a mega dungeon, guessing is often how you die. Now let's look at the actual text. In BX, the dwarf has a 2 in 6 chance, that's a 1 or a 2 on a d6, to spot 4 specific things: slanting passages, shifting walls, new construction, and stone traps. Let's start with slanting passages. And this is the one most referees and players ignore, and it's the most dangerous mistake you can make. If you want to see how this is actually relevant, go see Joe Block's Katma, Castle of the Mad Archmage. Trust me, there are sloping passages in there. Your dwarf would be very important. In a theater of the mind game, or even a classic graph paper crawl, the ref describes a hallway. It goes 60 feet and ends in a door. If that hallway is slanting down at a 5 or 10-degree angle, your character doesn't necessarily feel it. But your map is now a lie. You think you're on level 1. You open that door and suddenly you're facing, I don't know, level 2, level 3 monsters. The dwarf is the internal level. As a referee, I don't even wait for the player to ask. If the dwarf is in the lead or near the front, I'm rolling that d6. If it hits, I'll tell the dwarf player, your knees feel the pressure. This floor isn't level. You're going down. That one piece of information changes everything. Do we keep going? Do we turn back? The dwarf may have just saved the party from a TPK by simply noticing the floor. But wait, then we have shifting walls and new construction. Think about the logic of a dungeon. It wasn't all built at once. You have ancient catacombs, but then you have a tribe of orcs who moved in and walled off a section to make a larder. A human looks at a stone wall and sees essentially a stone wall. A dwarf looks at a stone wall and sees the history of the masonry. This stone was cut with a different chisel, or this mortar is still damp. The grain of this rock doesn't match the bedrock. When the dwarf notices new construction, they are spotting the active zones of the dungeon. They are finding the hideouts, the secret bypasses, the areas that haven't necessarily been looted yet. And shifting walls, well, that's a defense against a funhouse dungeon. You know the ones where the referee moves a wall behind you and suddenly the poof exit is gone. The dwarf sees the scrape marks on the floor. They see the gap in the ceiling where the stone block slides. The dwarf makes the dungeon static, so the players can actually solve it. And we need to talk about the stone trap specialty. And this is where people get confused. They say, well, I have a thief from that. And that thief is great. I've covered them. But the thief is a generalist. The thief is looking for tripwires, pressure plates, poison needles and keyholes, that sort of stuff. But the dwarf is looking for a structural failure. Is there a 2-ton block of granite rigged to drop from the ceiling? Well, the thief might miss the wire, but the dwarf sees the that isn't supporting that weight correctly. They can see the tell in the stone itself. In my tavern games, I give the dwarf the advantage on anything made of rock. If the trap is a mechanical contraption, give it to the thief like the trap of the dungeon. Falling ceilings, pit traps, collapsing floors. That is the dwarf's wheelhouse. And remember, the dwarf's chance is often better than a low little thief's fine trap skill. What, at level 1, a thief has a 10-15% chance to find a trap? That's miserable. The dwarf is 2 in 6. That's 33 1/3%. The dwarf is a better trap finder for the first 5 levels of the game than the actual thief is, provided the trap is made of stone. Think about that next time you're building a party. Now, a word for the roughs out there. Use your dwarf player. And what do I mean by that? Well, the dwarf is your way to deliver hidden lore without doing a boring monologue. Instead of saying this part of the dungeon was built by the cult of the eye, tell the dwarf you recognize the stonework. It's sloppy, hurried, and it's not meant to last 100 years. This was built by someone in a rush. It builds the atmosphere. It makes the player feel like an expert. And it keeps the parchment and torchlight vibe alive. The dungeon shouldn't be a series of generic rooms. It should be a physical place with weight and history. The dwarf is the lens that brings that history into focus. The dwarf isn't just a combatant. They are the party's historian, their architect, and their survivalist. They are the one to ensure that when the party goes into the dark, they actually have a chance of coming back out with the gold. So stop treating the dwarf as the backup fighter. Give them the lead. Let them inspect the walls. Listen to them when they say the floor feels funny. Because in BX, the dwarf isn't just a race. It isn't just a class. It's a vital dungeon procedure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the old school mechanics, you know the drill by now. We've got over 220 minions in the tavern at the moment. Members who keep this channel independent and focused on the games we love. Join the tavern community, hit that subscribe button, check the affiliate links below for the books and tools that I use at my table, and tell me in the comments, what's the most dwarf thing that's ever happened at your table? Your dwarf's 2 in 6 chance roll save your party from a sloping passage disaster. Some other disaster. I want to hear the stories. Until next time, keep your torches lit to your dwarf and your lead. God bless. I'm out. I'll catch you later.